Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, right? So he is coming back to give his what he called his verdict at the end of the like his judgment. But for now, he has convicted, he has found Mazi Nnamdi Kanu guilty of, 7 of their charges, the bogus charges. However, just so you know, all the charges that Omotosho has found Mazi Nnamdi Kanu guilty of, including terrorism, carried maximum sentence, which is death sentence. So there are others that carries a life sentence. But there is something I need you to quickly remember. There was 4 years ago, a woman called Binta Nyako did the same thing. I bet somehow, to those who have been following all of this up to this moment, right, you are not really surprised. Not Nnamdi Kanu himself is surprised. He's already told us this months ago that there will be no justice from their supposed courtroom, but rather he is there to help expose, their hypocrisy, the corrupt judiciary that you have that is actually acting as scripts. So Nnamdi Kanu will be convicted by Omotosho, who is reading a script today, and he will be doing so with a dead law, a law that doesn't exist. But somehow it is Nigeria. You will be stressing yourself to try to want to make sense out of their, nonsense, right? So to those of you who pretty much have been following this, and those of you who are new, let me give you a bit of a backstory. I like to do that before we get fully into this, all right? So Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the IPOB, who was extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya by the desperate Fulani terrorist government of APC, Ebekebe under Bokwari. So their court has already ruled that the way and manner it was illegally brought back to Nigeria, right, as sort of like a disqualified any court or whatever in Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu. There is already a judgment on that, which they didn't honor. Okay, so Nnamdi Kanu has been discharged and acquitted, right, which indeed was also dishonored. Now, Omotosho, who is now pretty much like repeating almost everything Binta Nyako also read 4 years ago, that got Bokwari, Malamu, and others, and other Fulani terrorist Islamic sympathizer from this, especially from this APC, Egbekegbe, jubilant. But it didn't last. A year after, an appeal court said, listen, this is a pure judicial brigandage. It shouldn't even have happened. So Omotosho is now treading that same path like Binta Nyako. When they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya and took him to Nigeria, they charged him with, before that, right? The first time they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu, it was in December 2015, right? And they charged him for treason. They said he brought Radio Biafra to Nigeria and he was advocating for the breakup of Nigeria, which according to them was treason. Now, that didn't last long. So when they kidnapped him from Kenya, right, they changed what was supposed to be the charges they initially took him for, right? This time, they now charged him with treason. With terrorism. Now, terrorism in the sense that Nnamdi Kanu's preachings, all right, encouraged people to pick up arms and carried out his instructions. This was Omotosho's position, right? That same statement, right, was also used by Binta Nyako 4 years ago. And the appeal court said, no, there was nothing like that. You have to place somebody, right, beside this crime. You cannot convict someone based on his speech, free speech. You can call it whatever you want to call it, incitement, whatever, right? You still need to place him next to it. You cannot, yeah? But today, right, or should I say, when this Omotosho decided to take up the case, when Binta Nyako got recused, Omotosho promised fair hearing. A part of fair hearing is to ensure that You as a judge, as a court, you have access to all the court documents relative to this particular case, which is what Nnamdi Kanu was like. You don't actually have to expect me to start putting up a defense against a worthless case. There are court documents, there are court evidence there that you can refer to. If you are afraid of that, I mean, maybe if you are ignorant of that, I could direct you. But they kept saying, no, he needed to put up a defense. He needed to put up a defense. And he said, no, you would have to prove the law. This time around, I mean, you have to prove the law I am actually, because if you convict me, under what law would that be? And what would be my sentencing? Like, what would be my, conviction at the end of the day? Like, how many years, or what would be my punishment, so to say? So that is what Omotosho just told us now, that he's going to come back in the next 1 hour to come and give his judgment. Nnamdi Kanu was supposed to address the court after telling them that, listen, I'm not going to put up any defense until you show me this particular law. You, judge, should be the one to help. If this prosecution team are just doing what they have been told to do, but you are supposed to be the judge. So Omotosho denied Nnamdi Kanu his last supposed written submission, right? Even if he's not putting up any defense. He wrapped that up. So today, Omotosho used the last 1 or 2 weeks to write a judgment that is just a copy and paste with some little garnished word added to it. A copy and paste from what Binta Nyako also ruled and got trashed 4 and 3 years ago. So we are going to go to the court for the record, for the diary. And then one by one, right, you are going to see beyond a charade called judiciary. You're going to see enough of a better written script. And right now, from what they are now saying, oh yeah, you know what I mean? You are just watching a movie right now. The whole plot they're doing right now is that Nnamdi Kanu should be convicted so that the political class, right, would then use that to see if they could convince him to drop the Biafran agitation and the rest of that for clemency. So Tinubu will now say, I pardon him. So that's the script they are plotting. But Nnamdi Kanu never played ball. What made them believe that he's going to play the ball now? Like, tell them, yeah, Bokwari proscribed IPOB. There is no court in Nigeria that proscribed IPOB. It was Devulumayi and other Igbo governors that first announced the proscription of IPOB. It wasn't a court. Then Bokwari went on to get what they call the interim order or something, right? And then announced the proscription of IPOB. A West African court, right? In that Abuja, there's a court called the ECOWAS court. The ECOWAS court ruled that IPOB is not a terrorist organization, and therefore Nigeria should not treat them as such. Nigeria disobeyed that. American Congress, including the Americans, you can Google all this, rejected the lobbyists sent by Nigeria to help them at least identify IPOB as a terrorist organization. Americans told them, get the hell out of here. Even Britain, that some of you believe are on the side of Nigeria, they went as far as telling Nigeria that IPOB members, they are considered as persecuted, ethnically persecuted people in Nigeria. In case if you don't know, it is only in Nigeria, supposed judiciary or a judge now repeating a lie as part of his own written judgment. You're going to see all of that. Nnamdi Kanu is blamed for EndSARS protests. They said Nnamdi Kanu incited the people to go after the police and kill them. So they found him guilty of that. And so many others said that the sit at home. Nnamdi Kanu is also accused of ordering a sit at home, despite the fact that it was inside their own court that Nnamdi Kanu said, I am not in support, or I didn't give any order for anybody to sit at home, and that must end now. Some of you will remember the, the autopilot Simon Epa. They went as far as saying, no, he was not talking to them. In fact, they came out and said they were not sitting at home because of him, that they will not take any order from him. All of these are in public place, right? But no, a judge who is reading a script was reading out absolute nonsense. And like we who have been following it, we are not surprised. So let's go to that court quickly. and we take it one after the other. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get to the point that we can take calls where people can actually react. I want to know what Omotosho want to convict Nnamdi Kanu for, and what would be his sentencing in this instance, and what law would he be quoting. Obviously, he managed to tell us that government could arrest, according to him, any criminal, even if they arrested you illegally, even if they kidnapped you. That's contrary to the appeal court judgment. They are quoted the Nigerian law, that said you can't do that. Do you understand? There is an appeal judgment that said, no, that was wrong. The process was totally wrong. In fact, that nullified any form of criminal charges against Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria. It has to be done properly. You will extradite him properly, and then you bring him to any charges you have for him in Nigeria. But no, Omotosho is now reading his own law, interpreting his own law, right, in their own temple of injustice. So this morning,
Thank you.
So that was the earlier, right? Before Omotosho started reading his written jargons. So there's somebody on that YouTube, I think his ID is something like a Wonder Wild. Can somebody help me knock an hammer on that person, like the hammer guys? Help me knock that person a very, very strong hammer. Now I'm going to kill you. Telling me that I should watch my mouth, I should watch what I say, so that they won't charge me for terrorism too, right? So that your criminal government that are sponsoring terrorists and the terrorists, that means, funding terrorism in Nigeria, right? They won't ask you to start pointing to me that I'm a terrorist now, Abi, for actually like outing their entire, what do you call it, their entire supposed conspiracy, right? So it will make sense that if I say, what do you call it? The APC, they will burn down Nigeria based on all of their actions. Would that make me a terrorist? It's like people with armor are not even awake this hour. Sorry for that distraction. Let me quickly do that myself. So that's what they do. They made you believe that, you know what, watch your mouth, though. And people have actually told me that almost like for the past decade. And these are mostly the people who somehow, right? They are like, I think they're like they planted themselves to make you believe that the absurdity, the madness that these guys have been like, perpetuating in that contraption, right, is something that you and I have no control over. So therefore, you either bow for them or you keep your mouth shut, something like that. That's not a real place, promise you. So, and that's also one of the reasons why most of them actually hate Nnamdi Kanu so much. They said he's arrogant, he's proud. Some are even calling him that he's already mad. Or how dare he talking to judges like that? Why would you sentence him to death, ignoring all of these factors just mentioned? Forgetting again that this is Nnamdi Kanu, right? In your own case, all they need is just to find something and put you behind bars too. The moment you decided to actually stand up and say something that is wrong with that contraption. So they said he's spreading hate, but the criminals who are paying, terrorists, who are pardoning terrorists, today want you to believe that Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist. And then you see educated people explaining that to you by saying the Nigerian police, the Nigerian military, their DSS, couldn't actually arrested the criminals they gave guns to, politically sponsored criminals in eastern part of Nigeria. And how come that the moment they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu and they went after the supposed Eastern Security Network, which they demonize enough, right? After setting up their own Ebubeagu was supposed to go after Fulani terrorists. No, they set up Ebubeagu to go after anybody known with IPOB or ESN. With their media on their side, one mofo is now asking me to watch my mouth. Because those are the things they don't want you to know. They don't want you to keep saying. They want you to keep believing the lies that Nnamdi Kanu is violent, he is dangerous. But the Fulani terrorists and the rest of those they are giving, they are doing their peace meeting with, they are just, they are just criminals. I mean, misguided criminals. And when they want to make it, they will say, no, all of them are the same. How can you say Nnamdi Kanu IPOB is at the same with these terrorists when Oplesus or Dimba, Oplesus or Dijo, Rochas, Sokoro, Hausa, and the rest of them who are funding some of these politically armed, who actually gave guns to these terrorists themselves? Yeah, the criminals in the eastern part of Nigeria. If your police couldn't go after them, right, you shouldn't put that on Nnamdi Kanu. When people went out to protest against the police brutality called the NSAS, right? So maybe all of us are terrorists then, because majority of us actually supported them. We encouraged them. We funded them because we felt it was the right thing to do. We raised money for them in this NSAS stuff. So if Nnamdi Kanu is being blamed for NSAS, then all of us are guilty. We are all terrorists then. But you see those thugs that they bust down to the locations of all these protest grounds in Alausa, at Lekki, bust, what do you call it, the APC thugs that were captured on camera, captured when they were unleashing violence on the protesters. So then we say those ones are actually they are protecting the country, right? Their own hired criminals as well, who attacked protesters, who went as far as setting police station ablaze. They were all captured on camera. They were not Igbos. They were not IPOB. But today, a judge read a judgment, right, by saying Nnamdi Kanu was the one that encouraged NSAS in Lagos. So do you not have an idea where this is coming from then? Do you have no clue where this is also going? We are in a place where the APC, Egbekegbe, have weaponized tribalism. They've weaponized ethnicism. They've weaponized religious supremacy in that contraption, right? Then a judge is making you believe that, Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB, meaning the Igbos, were behind the protest, NSAS protest in Lagos. How ridiculous. So now we're going to go listening. And at a point, he actually challenged him, like, what are you talking about? Right? That Omotosho had to send Nnamdi Kanu out of the room. They said he was unruly. If I was him, I wouldn't even say anything there today. If I was him, but I'm not him. I am not Nnamdi Kanu. So he is Nnamdi Kanu because he is Nnamdi Kanu. You get that now? Let's go to the courtroom where Omotosho started his, his charade. Here.
It's raised here in the application, the application for bail, have been raised by the defendants severally in this court. And this court has made an order that all preliminary objections or issues shall be taken during the judgment. This court is bound by that order. However, the issue as regards to referral of questions to the Court of Appeal and the stay of proceedings statutory law governing criminal procedure in Nigeria, to it, Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, by Section 306 of that Act, which provides that an application for stay of proceedings in respect of criminal matters before court shall not be entertained. This statutory provision was initiated by